Hey everybody, good energy to you guys. Um, so yeah, I mean, I know I just talked about how I wasn't gonna work on the project much more, but stuff changes as I scroll on YouTube. It's just something that needs to get done, and I have plenty of time on my hands, so I'm gonna continue typing up the 34, problems that this movement that I've been working on could potentially help counter. It's theoretical, of course, needs to be proven. Um, so yeah, I just want to share that with y'all, that I'm continuing to work on that, and yeah. Uh, Sorry, I feel really relaxed. Oh man, I kind of feel like I could sleep for days. There was something. Oh yeah, I want to talk about sin a little bit, and this is something that even Pops told me about last time we talked. He was like, "Hey, fucking." He was referring to Elijah, which um, Elijah is the reincarnated Elijah, or the character from the good book. According to Pops, is in New Orleans. I think he's still in jail. Actually, he got in a little bit of trouble, but anyways, that's beside the point. But he talked about how Elijah didn't really have a concern for sin, and he was like, sin, whatever, but he kept on doing, what he had to do for God. But to him, sin wasn't really a big deal. And I've heard from some others that, and I'm also just feeling myself that perhaps it's something I've struggled with I mean, for a long time, but even just from the idea of how to incorporate that into this movement, because I mean, it is a very huge part of human nature, is our sin. There's so many different levels of sin and ways of sinning, and fucking, how do you, just to create a movement that's like no more sin, like, that's why I've always tried to emphasize more. We're perpetuating goodness. Like, we're not trying to perpetuate sin. Like, if people fuck up, they make mistakes, they sin, okay, let's deal with it. But again, perpetuating it, that would be like even some of the ideas I have is like, I don't know, maybe I'm taking this too far. But again, if I'm really trying to do things from like a most high perspective, which I still feel in my heart, is that's who I am, as a servant for the Most Highs, and that to me is, and I'll just say this: Yana brought up an interesting point, saying, God doesn't need a name, and I get what she's saying, and like the Most High, the Most Low, the separation, like, God is everything, and she's right. Pops is, and again, even Pops has talked about there's somebody that created him. So when I'm talking about him, I'm talking about this realm, he would be considered the Most High because he's the one who has mastered knowledge of good and evil, which is also why I've told him this too, that like, his whole thing on, which kind of goes into what I talked about with Elijah also, is Pops has been similar to Elijah. Like, he hasn't really, like, there's been a few times we've kind of caught him in some like shady kind of like silly little lies, like little just petty things like cigarettes, like lying about stupid silly shit like that. And also, like, like in the book it talks about how you're not supposed to sue your neighbor or anybody really, I think. And even right now, at least he might have changed his mind, but he was talking about suing somebody because he got hit by a car, and they're trying to like not compensate him, even though he did get his finger fucked and it was their fault. So he's deciding to sue him. And he even brought it up. He's like, well, I know it says you're not supposed to sue people, but I'm also God. And I was like, okay, I get you, but I think the reason why you incarnated here in the flesh, and that you are, essentially just like me and you, like, he's made mistakes, he's been wrong about things, and he can't just materialize gold, in his hand instantaneously. So, he doesn't really have, his full godlike powers. Um, And I think there's a reason for that, is so that he can manifest in here, incarnate in the flesh, to help humanity out. In order to really do that, though, it goes back into relatability. I think he would need to know how it feels to be a human, to really help humanity out. You know, because doing it from a God perspective, like, you know, what would you tell them? Like, just do this, and it's like, I'm God, so I'm just going to do this, and it's going to work out. But humans, it's not that simple for us. Like, we have emotions, we have temptations, there's resistance, a lot of shit gets in the way. You know, it's just not that simple for us. That's why I think, you know, he is the way he is. But I also think because he is God and he does have that connection, and even though he's wiped a lot of his memories, he still has that power within him, so he's always going to kind of feel like he can do whatever the fuck he wants, you know, and he owns everything, and he does. But again, to be that good example and to help teach humanity, he's got to follow the word that he sent his son to be, and that he expects us all to follow, and, you know, be a good father, and, you know, set a good example. You know, if you see your father doing some crazy shit, you as a son might be like, well, my dad does it, why can't I do it, you know? Come on, brother. So, but anyway, yeah, buddy, you want to stick your head out? Who's a good boy? But, yeah, so, you know, sin, like, but, you know, that's something that I still am working on. And then you look at 13, you know, he's very, 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 very disciplined, and, you know, okay, you want to go back out? All right. Yeah, the 13th son, man, you know, he's very, very righteous, and, you know, stays very clean and pure, and, you know, essentially like no sin. You know, I mean, I can't say exactly how he lives his life, but that's, you know, when you look at his page, it's very much, he keeps it very orderly, very clean, very, you know, a very particular way, which I think is good and can be very, very effective. But, you know, I also think it's good to leave room for learning and growth, and for people who who want to grow but still have some shit to get over. Like, not everybody's going to be at that completely, little bear, it's okay, bud. But anyways, I just really want to make this video to let you all know that I am still theorizing, you know, ways and strategies to help curb humanity's, you know, love for money. You know, and I'm starting to think too that just by the movement itself, by just being out in nature and helping grow good foods and take care of what needs to take care of, and talk and fucking, you know, build good relationships and have some good healthy fun, I'm hoping and feeling and thinking that in itself is just going to kind of be the remedy that we need, and we maybe don't even need to have such type of strict rules and regulations and all these things. But, you know, I was just reading a book about Plato, and, you know, back in the Greek times, they didn't write things down. You know, it was all word of mouth, which I do appreciate the whole not writing things down, man. The speaking, the oral tradition, that's very sacred, but it's also something that's been around for a long time, and, you know, everything that's been around in the past has gotten here. But the same is true for writing. So, you know, it's like, well, maybe there's a way of, like, kind of creating that's why I like the fluctuating system, to where it's like anybody can come and talk or present an idea, or, you know, that they have, you know, at any time, and we can change the writing as needs be. But it's always there, it's always available, there's no secrets, it's available to all to, you know, comment on and, you know, engage with that at their free will, and for people to listen to if they want to, and be a part of, and, you know, comment and come up with their own, you know, counters or critiques or whatever it may be. So I don't know, I'm just, the way I've kind of got it written out now is it's more just about perpetuating that goodness, and, like, if you start to see, like, a real repetitive pattern in someone's sinful behavior, well, then it's like, you know, maybe you should find somewhere else to chill, man, because we're really not trying to party like that. Like, it's okay to party and have fun to an element, but too much of it can be, you know, it's just not good. It's unhealthy, and there's usually a core issue that's keeping that person from wanting to live a healthier lifestyle, in my opinion. You know, especially if you're somebody like mine, who's a middle-aged human being. Like, you know, if you're getting a little older in your years, it's a little different. I still think it's good to maintain good work habits, but, you know, especially if you're young like my age, like I said, that we should definitely be spending more of our time doing productive things than just partying. You know, now while you're working, you know, I find it's okay. I do all right partaking in a little bit of herb, as far as, you know, marijuana or even just herbs and teas and things of this nature. But anything else for me is, you know, just too much, because I just have this, it just does something, I just don't need it, you know, the herb is fine. So anyways, but things always change. So I just want to share it with you guys. Hope you have a good day. All right. Love y'all. Bye.